I bought these locks. These are the Masterlock 517, and they have the big long locking bar here, shackle, so they can adjust their heights. They are a little bit difficult to open once you've got the. It's just difficult to get your fingers in here to turn the key, but that's the only issue I see with these. Um, just based on looking at the shackle, you can see it's got the bumps, the ratchets on both sides. I thought for sure, since it's removable as well, that inside here would be two locking bars, just like when I talked about the other Master Lock. They actually have two locking bars in here. This one only has one. You can see it just in here. This one's just a straight through hole, but this one has a locking bar on it. You can see it activating just in here. And there's quite a bit of spring on this. This is actually difficult to turn. It takes a lot of torque. However, I tried both my my two other, well, I guess my three other sets of skeleton keys, and none of them open that. And you can see that the look of this key, this is the key for here, is different than these ones. If we look at I mean, these ones have a back and the sort of the back of the key and the blade side of the key, and these ones are symmetric. The place where I got these had a bunch of different locks, bunch of these, but there was only two varieties. One with this big long blade at the end, and I can't remember what the rest of it was. But then, and also the other one just had a tiny little bit on it, just a tiny little bit, and then a little break, and then it had another blade on it. Unfortunately, I thought these were differently keyed, but they are actually the same key. So the same key opens this one and opens this one. And you may be wondering why I have a candle here. And I'm going to try and actually impression the middle of this key. It was difficult to see exactly what's going on in here, but if you activate the rod and look down through the keyhole, you can see a little bit of movement. It's actually pretty hard to see though. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically put a bunch of soot on this key. Let's just make sure this is really good in here. So you can see the key is like totally black now. And that's just very lightly put on there. If you scratch this at all, you can see it comes right off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually insert the key in here, the other key, just to get it all perfect, because I don't want this to just get scratched. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the key in to the keyway as delicately as possible. And then I'm going to activate the lock here, and I'm just going to turn it quite a bit. Counter rotate it as much as possible. And now I'm going to try and pull it out as easily as possible. And I'm going to look to see what's being scratched off this key. And one of the things I noticed, I've done this quite a few times, is that it's this part right here that got scratched off the most. Entering the key, it is quite difficult to this because entering the keyway is scratches it a lot. But what I see here is just a little bit right here that's being pulled off this. So what I'm going to do, I have looked in here and I did notice that it did seem to be the way the metal got lifted on the lock. It's very difficult to see because it's such a narrow keyway here. But it did look like there was something and that it was pulling off of. And I think, and it looked like it could be there because it did look like there was, when you turn the key, it was lifting something and there's a lot of spring in there. So my bet is that this little part right here is the important part of this key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off these blades, verify, then I'm going to cut off most of the top of this blade, verify, and then I'm going to cut off the tip part of this blade down here and verify. And I'm suspecting that if I just leave that tiny little bit of the blade down here, which is being rubbed off by the soot's being rubbed off, that this is going to work. Okay, so I just finished cutting off this key, You can see I've removed these two ridges from this key, and this should work in here. Yeah, and it turns and I can feel and see that it's moving that across. So what I'm going to do is I change my plan here slightly. I'm just going to remove most of this on both sides because this is a symmetric key, so I might as well keep it symmetric. Okay, so I've cut off this front part of the blade here. You can see I removed these two from here, and then I put an indentation here. And I think this part is just required in the key just to keep it in the bottom of the lock and stable in the bottom of the lock. And then this is the part that actually turns it, and the key can be operated either upside down or either direction, so this is a good place. And it was pretty hard to get a cut in here. I didn't do a great job, but I think it's working. Let's try. Yep. I can see the bolt moving in here. If I reverse the key, again, you can see the bolt moving. So this is great. This is another way of creating the key. I did this with the candle and put soot on it and see where it got scratched off by the actual locking mechanism. And that allowed me to estimate where that's supposed to be. So great.